Dr. Frank Stein gives some sage advice for gamblers of every stripe. And now, from the Dark Matters collection, I present to you One Piece at a Time. Dr. Stein had been a world-renowned neurosurgeon until early-onset Parkinson's disease cut his brilliant career short, right around his 44th birthday. Not one to fold up his tent when faced with a little adversity, he parlayed his declining surgical skills into a job as the county coroner. His hands were still steady enough to remove a liver or lung, and medical bone saws required little skill or training. And so his improbable second career began. This particular tale, believe it or not, started with an old Johnny Cash song. After first hearing it on his car radio, Dr. Stein was intrigued enough by the lyrics to download it to his Spotify playlist. At the office, he loved nothing more than listening to One Piece at a Time. It quickly became his personal theme song, as the refrain so aptly described his work. His colleagues quickly grew tired of it and started calling him by his first name because it annoyed him as much as his song annoyed them. Dr. Frank was a moniker he put up with, but didn't particularly care for. It was his last name that reverberated through the neurosurgical profession for nearly a decade, with each and every innovative surgical technique or instrument he developed. But through it all, the lyrics of Cash's catchy country tune were stuck in his head for good. But it was the underlying concept that intrigued him the most, and that concept became the source of a somewhat gruesome idea that gave him the intellectual and surgical challenge he needed since being forced to retire so early. As you can probably guess, it had nothing to do with building a Cadillac. And so Dr. Frank Stein began to smuggle the body parts he needed to complete his personal challenge, one piece at a time. His main source was indigent men without friends or family. He also made use of those scheduled for cremation, as a missing part would never be noticed. He completed his surgical work in his home lab, storing his creation between operations in his walk-in freezer. His laboratory included a well-equipped operating room, as it was there that he developed and practiced many of his innovative techniques and procedures, using dogs and pigs mainly. His wife Lisa was a gifted vascular surgeon and became a crucial accomplice in his surreptitious endeavor. She was as excited as he was as their creation slowly took shape. The Steins were anxious to test their work at its earliest stage, just a torso and a head. They named their partially complete creation Lazar, which was short for Lazarus. All they needed was a thunderstorm that featured frequent and violent cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. Bolts with enough super-high voltage to bring their creation to life. Once the full electrical circuit was completed, from lightning rod to electrodes, it was just a matter of time. When that hot, humid summer night finally arrived, the Steins carefully attached the electrodes to all of the critical locations on Lazar's thought-out torso and head. Then it happened. The crack of the thunderbolt was loud and the voltage was high. Dr. Stein howled with excitement as Lazar's eyes slowly opened and his chest heaved with the breath of life. He began to speak in an uneven and distorted voice. Poor usage and grammatically confusing at first, it wasn't long before Lazar's language skills were back in full. The two surgeons quickly realized that a walking, talking, sentient, even emotional human being was close at hand. Over the course of the night and into the early morning, Dr. Stein and his wife were able to converse with Lazar, learning that he had above-average intelligence, a strong vocabulary, a relatively pleasant personality, and even a pretty good sense of humor. They wondered if they should announce their amazing achievement immediately. This level of success, they reasoned, was enough to astonish the medical community. Lazar would have been heralded as a living, breathing miracle, and Dr. Stein would have rocketed to worldwide fame, gaining celebrity status far beyond his old circle of neurosurgeons and their medical journals. Why take any chances when they had a living, breathing, talking head to show the world? They wondered. When Lazar overheard his intentions, he voiced his strong objections. He insisted that Dr. Stein continue as he yearned to be an ordinary, full-bodied human. Please, Frank, please, Lisa, I'm begging you. I can't just be a talking head. Please, I beg you, complete me, and together we will astound the world. And so Dr. Stein begrudgingly agreed, placing Lazar back in the deep freeze until he could collect all of the required body parts. The Stein's expertise in neurological and vascular microsurgery made the attachment of his extremities seem easy. The sutured connections were nearly impossible to detect from ordinary distances. The real trick was keeping his full body relatively symmetrical, despite being composed of many different donors, too dead to know what they were, literally, a part of. Once Lazar's body was physically complete, it was simply a matter of waiting for another violent electrical storm passing through, providing a high-voltage surge that would flow through the full complement of electrodes attached to every critical neurological juncture on his body. And when that moment came, Dr. Stein and his wife got the shock, pardon the pun, of their lives when Lazar immediately sat upright. Not just alive, but electrically supercharged. Too much voltage, Stein wondered aloud. Did I overdo it? Then Lazar literally sprang off the operating table, pulling electrodes from his naked body. He sprinted across the room and burst through the exterior door with almost superhuman strength. Stein and his wife could hear him shout with joy as he ran outside. Free at last, free at last. Thank you, Frank Stein. I'm free at last. Next they heard the blaring of a car horn and the screeching of tires as they skidded along the road outside their lab, followed by the unmistakable thunk of metal colliding with human flesh. An anguished cry of pain, then silence. The Steins rushed outside, and their worst nightmare materialized as lightning bolts lit up the night with every flash. Lazar's lifeless body lay in a crumpled heap on the roadway in front of the crushed front end of the vehicle that hit him. And irony of ironies, Johnny Cash's voice, slightly muffled by the airbag, could be heard singing the song that started it all. Sadly, the living proof of his remarkable neurosurgical skills and amazing medical creativity was gone, dead as a doornail. Dr. Frank Stein was beyond distraught and cried out into the dark and stormy night, I knew it! I knew it! He should have quit while he was ahead. Thanks for listening.